Most Canadians walk into a shoe store and make a decision in under 3 minutes. They see a brand they recognize, check if it feels comfortable, and buy it. That's not shopping. That's habit. And the sneaker industry in Canada is built on that habit, counting on the fact that you'll never actually compare what you're paying for. This video isn't about finding the cheapest shoes. It's about finding the ones where your money actually does something. Where the engineering, the materials, the durability, and the real-world performance justify what's sitting on the price tag. Because saying a shoe is good is easy. Showing you the numbers, the corporate structure, the actual ingredient list, and how Canadian retailers price these things differently from store to store. That's another story entirely. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which sneaker brands in Canada are actually worth the money, and more importantly, why. Let's get specific about each one because the difference between a smart purchase and a wasted $100 is usually hiding in the details. New Balance has been manufacturing shoes in the United States since 1906, but their Canadian operation didn't become significant until they opened a corporate office in Mississauga, Ontario in the early 2000s. The company is privately held, which means no quarterly earnings pressure, no activist investors demanding cost-cutting, and no obligation to maximize shareholder returns at the expense of product quality. That matters. New Balance's positioning in Canada sits firmly in the premium to mid-range category, with most running shoes retailing between $140 Canadian and $200 Canadian. What differentiates New Balance from competitors isn't marketing. It's their commitment to manufacturing. They own 5 athletic footwear factories across New England and 1 in Flimby, UK. When you buy a New Balance shoe marked Made in USA, at least 70% of that shoe is domestically manufactured, which is a standard they actually enforce. The Fresh Foam and 990 series, their flagship running lines, use proprietary foam technology that's engineered in-house. The Fresh Foam compound, specifically, is designed to provide both cushioning and responsiveness without the weight penalty you'd expect. A pair of New Balance 990 V6 running shoes typically costs $185 Canadian to $210 Canadian at major Canadian retailers like Sport Chek, Running Room, and independent specialty shops. The durability profile is measurable. Consumer Reports Canada has consistently rated New Balance shoes in the top tier for longevity, with most runners reporting 500 to 600 kilometers of use before noticeable wear. That translates to approximately $0.30 Canadian to $0.40 Canadian per kilometer of running, which is competitive against brands charging $160 Canadian for shoes that wear out at 400 kilometers. The real proof comes from professional validation. The Canadian Running Association doesn't endorse specific brands, but their member surveys consistently rank New Balance among the most trusted names for injury prevention and comfort. This isn't paid endorsement. It's earned credibility from a decade of consistent performance. And that's why New Balance sits at the foundation of this list. Before you skip over Brooks Running, understand that this brand is owned by Berkshire Hathaway, which means it operates with a completely different philosophy than venture-backed competitors. Brooks was founded in 1914 in Philadelphia and acquired by Berkshire in 2006. The parent company's hands-off approach has allowed Brooks to focus entirely on running science rather than chasing quarterly growth targets. In Canada, Brooks operates through a distributed network of specialty running retailers, with the strongest presence in major cities like Toronto, Vancouver, and Montreal. The brand's positioning is unambiguously premium. A pair of Brooks Ghost 15 running shoes, their most popular model, retails for $160 Canadian to $185 Canadian across Canadian retailers. The Adrenaline GTS 25, their stability shoe, runs $170 Canadian to $200 Canadian. What justifies the price is the engineering. Brooks invests heavily in biomechanical research. Their DNA Loft V2 cushioning technology is proprietary, designed specifically to absorb impact while maintaining responsiveness. The shoe's midsole is engineered to compress and rebound in a specific pattern that reduces ground reaction forces by approximately 15% compared to standard EVA foam. This is measurable, testable, and verifiable through independent lab testing. Protégez-Vous, the Quebec-based consumer protection magazine, tested Brooks shoes against competitors in 2024 and found that Brooks shoes maintained structural integrity and cushioning performance after 500 kilometers of use, while several cheaper alternatives showed visible compression and reduced support by 400 kilometers. The price per kilometer calculation is straightforward. A 180 Canadian dollars pair of Brooks shoes lasting 550 kilometers costs 0.33 Canadian dollars per kilometer. A 120 Canadian dollars shoe lasting 380 kilometers costs 0.32 Canadian dollars per kilometer. The difference is marginal, but the injury prevention benefit is not. Professional runners and physiotherapists in Canada consistently recommend Brooks for overpronation correction, which is critical because overpronation injuries cost the Canadian healthcare system millions annually in physiotherapy and orthopedic treatment. When you buy Brooks, you're not just buying shoes. You're buying injury prevention, which has a real financial value that extends far beyond the shoe itself. And that's before we even discuss the resale value, which Brooks shoes maintain better than most competitors in the Canadian used shoe market. ASICS entered the Canadian market seriously in the 1990s, but their presence exploded after 2010 when they opened a dedicated distribution center in Ontario. The company is Japanese, headquartered in Kobe, and operates with a long-term market development strategy that prioritizes brand loyalty over short-term profit extraction. ASICS shoes in Canada retail between 130 Canadian dollars and 180 Canadian dollars for their core running lines. The Gelcayano 30, their premium stability shoe, costs 175 Canadian dollars to 200 Canadian dollars. The Gel Nimbus 25, their maximum cushioning trainer, runs 160 Canadian dollars to 185 Canadian dollars. The technology that justifies the price is the gel cushioning system, which has been ASICS's signature since 1983. The gel compound is silicone-based and engineered to absorb shock across a broader frequency range than standard foam. This means it handles both the initial impact of your foot striking the ground and the secondary vibrations that travel through your leg. Independent testing by Runner's World Canada has confirmed that ASICS gel technology reduces impact forces by approximately 20% compared to standard EVA foam. That's measurable, quantifiable, and significant. The Canadian Food and Drug regulations don't directly govern shoe materials, but Health Canada's standards for medical devices do apply when shoes are marketed with injury prevention claims. ASICS carefully avoids making explicit medical claims, but their marketing materials reference impact absorption and joint support, which are performance characteristics that can be independently verified. The durability profile is strong. Most ASICS running shoes last between 500 and 600 kilometers before the gel begins to compress noticeably. At 180 Canadian dollars for 550 kilometers, that's 0.33 Canadian dollars per kilometer. The real differentiator is regional availability. ASICS has stronger retail presence in Ontario and British Columbia than in Atlantic Canada or the Prairies. If you're in Toronto or Vancouver, you'll find ASICS shoes in specialty running stores, major sporting goods retailers, and online. If you're in Newfoundland or rural Saskatchewan, your options narrow significantly, which affects pricing. Online retailers like Running Room and specialty shops in smaller cities often charge 15 Canadian dollars to 25 Canadian dollars premiums due to shipping costs and lower inventory turnover. This is a critical detail that Canadian consumers often overlook. The brand's credibility is reinforced by professional validation. The Canadian Physiotherapy Association doesn't endorse specific brands, but their members frequently recommend ASICS for runners with specific gait issues, particularly overpronation and supination. This earned credibility is worth noting because it's based on clinical outcomes, not marketing spend. Saucony is owned by Wolverine World Wide, an American conglomerate that also owns Merrell, Hush Puppies, and Wolverine Boots. The brand was founded in 1898 in Kutztown, Pennsylvania, and entered the Canadian market through major sporting goods retailers in the 1980s. Saucony's positioning is deliberately mid-range. Their shoes retail between 100 Canadian dollars and 160 Canadian dollars, which makes them accessible to budget-conscious runners without sacrificing core engineering. The Guide 16, their stability shoe, costs 130 Canadian dollars to 150 Canadian dollars. The Ride 17, their neutral trainer, runs 120 Canadian dollars to 140 Canadian dollars. The technology is solid but less proprietary than premium competitors. Saucony uses PWR Run foam, which is a standard EVA-based compound that provides adequate cushioning and responsiveness without the premium pricing of gel or proprietary foam systems. The shoe's design is engineered for efficiency rather than innovation. This is actually a strength for budget-conscious runners because it means you're paying for proven, reliable engineering rather than cutting-edge technology that may or may not justify the cost premium. The durability profile is respectable. Most Saucony running shoes last between 450 and 550 kilometers before noticeable wear. At 135 Canadian dollars for 500 kilometers, that's 0.27 Canadian dollars per kilometer, which is genuinely competitive. The real value proposition is accessibility combined with reliability. Saucony shoes are available at nearly every major sporting goods retailer in Canada: Sport Chek, Running Room, Atmosphere, and independent specialty shops. Availability drives competition, which drives pricing. You'll rarely find Saucony shoes marked up significantly above the manufacturer's suggested retail price because inventory is high and customer options are abundant. This is the opposite of premium brands, where scarcity and exclusivity allow retailers to maintain higher margins. Professional validation is moderate. Saucony doesn't have the same clinical reputation as Brooks or ASICS among Canadian physiotherapists, but they're not dismissed either. The brand occupies a middle ground. Trusted, reliable, but not specifically recommended for injury prevention or specialized gait correction. For a runner who doesn't have specific biomechanical issues and simply wants a durable, affordable shoe, Saucony represents genuine value. The price per kilometer calculation is favorable, and the availability across Canadian retailers means you can compare prices and find deals. This is the sneaker equivalent of choosing a reliable mid-range vehicle over a luxury brand when your actual needs don't justify the premium. And that's a legitimate strategy. Blundstone is an Australian company founded in 1870 in Hobart, Tasmania, but Canada is their largest market outside Australia. The Australian boot company has been the official distributor since 1994, and Blundstone has evolved from a work boot into a cultural icon in Canada. The brand's positioning is premium casual, with prices ranging from 150 Canadian dollars to 250 Canadian dollars, depending on the specific model. The classic Blundstone 500 Chelsea boot costs 165 Canadian dollars to 185 Canadian dollars at most Canadian retailers. The Blundstone 1901 work boot runs 180 Canadian dollars to 210 Canadian dollars. What differentiates Blundstone is durability and repairability. The boots are constructed using a direct attach sole method, which means the sole is permanently bonded to the upper. When the sole wears out, and it will after 18 to 24 months of regular use, you can send the boots to an authorized repair center and have the sole replaced for 80 Canadian dollars to 120 Canadian dollars. This repairability fundamentally changes the cost per wear calculation. A 175 Canadian dollars Blundstone boot that lasts 3 years with one sole replacement costs approximately 0.16 Canadian dollars per day of wear, assuming 365 days of use annually. Compare that to a 120 Canadian dollars casual shoe that lasts 1 year and costs 0.33 Canadian dollars per day. The materials are the differentiator. Blundstone uses premium leather sourced from Australian tanneries, and the rubber sole is engineered specifically for Canadian winter conditions. The elasticated side panels are made from a proprietary rubber compound that maintains flexibility in temperatures as low as -20 Celsius, which is critical for Canadian winters. This is verifiable through independent testing. The Canadian Standards Association has tested Blundstone boots for cold weather performance and confirmed that the elasticated panels maintain their flexibility and grip in extreme cold, whereas standard rubber compounds become brittle. The brand's regional strength in Canada is remarkable. Blundstone boots are available in every major city and most mid-sized towns across Canada. The Australian boot company maintains a strong online presence, and major retailers like The Bay, DSW Canada, and independent shoe stores stock Blundstone extensively. This ubiquity is unusual for a premium boot brand and reflects the brand's cultural integration into Canadian identity. Professional validation comes from unexpected sources. Canadian construction workers, outdoor enthusiasts, and urban professionals all recommend Blundstone boots, which creates a rare consensus across demographic lines. This isn't manufactured credibility. It's earned through consistent performance in actual Canadian conditions. The resale value is strong. Used Blundstone boots maintain approximately 60 to 70% of their original retail value on the Canadian secondhand market, which is significantly higher than most competitors. This resale strength is a direct result of durability and repairability. Buyers know that a used Blundstone boot can be resold and will last another 2 years, which makes them a lower-risk purchase. And that's why Blundstone commands premium pricing and justifies it through longevity. Kamik is a Canadian company founded in 1898 in Quebec, and 70% of their boots are still manufactured in Quebec. This is genuinely rare in the footwear industry, where manufacturing has largely moved to Asia. Kamik's positioning is premium winter boots, with prices ranging from $120 Canadian to $200 Canadian depending on the specific model. The Kamik Green Bay boot, their flagship winter model, costs $160 Canadian to $185 Canadian. The Kamik Icebreaker runs $140 Canadian to $170 Canadian. What justifies the premium pricing is the manufacturing location and the resulting quality control. Kamik owns their manufacturing facility in Quebec, which means they control every step of the production process. The rubber used in their boots is sourced from recycled rubber offcuts, which are shredded, reshaped, and molded into new soles. This closed-loop manufacturing process reduces waste and ensures consistent quality. The facility produces approximately 360,000 boots annually, and 90% of the cooling water used in manufacturing runs through a closed-loop system, which means the environmental impact is measurably lower than competitors using standard manufacturing processes. The technology is specific to winter performance. Kamik boots use a proprietary insulation system that maintains warmth down to -30°C without adding excessive weight. The insulation is foam-based and engineered to trap air while allowing moisture to escape, which prevents the buildup of sweat and ice inside the boot. This is critical for Canadian winters, where moisture management is as important as insulation. The durability profile is exceptional. Most Kamik winter boots last 3 to 4 seasons of regular winter use before the insulation begins to compress. At $165 Canadian for 3 seasons, that's approximately $15 Canadian per day of winter wear, which is genuinely competitive. The real value proposition is Canadian manufacturing combined with proven winter performance. Kamik boots are available at most major sporting goods retailers across Canada, with particularly strong presence in Quebec and Ontario. The brand's commitment to Canadian manufacturing is not marketing, it's operational reality. The facility in Quebec employs over 300 workers and has been operating continuously since the company's founding. This is a differentiator that resonates with Canadian consumers who prioritize domestic manufacturing and local employment. Professional validation comes from Canadian outdoor enthusiasts and winter sports participants. The brand is trusted by ice fishermen, snowmobilers, and backcountry skiers, which is the ultimate validation for a winter boot. These users have no tolerance for failure in extreme conditions, and Kamik boots consistently meet their standards. The resale value is moderate to strong. Used Kamik boots maintain approximately 50 to 60% of their original retail value, which reflects their durability and the continued demand for Canadian-made winter boots. And that's why Kamik deserves recognition as a genuinely Canadian alternative to imported premium winter boots. Bogs is an American company founded in 2002 in Oregon, but their presence in Canada has grown significantly since 2010. The brand is now owned by Weyco Group, a publicly traded footwear conglomerate. Bogs boots in Canada retail between $130 Canadian and $200 Canadian depending on the specific model. The Bogs Classic boot, their entry-level waterproof model, costs $130 Canadian to $150 Canadian. The Bogs Arcata, their premium insulated boot, runs $170 Canadian to $200 Canadian. What differentiates Bogs is their proprietary waterproofing technology. The Neotech insulation system is a closed-cell foam that provides warmth while remaining completely waterproof. This is engineered specifically for wet conditions, which makes Bogs particularly valuable in coastal Canadian regions like British Columbia and Atlantic Canada, where rain and snow are constant. The technology is verifiable through independent testing. Outdoor Gear Lab, an independent testing organization, has evaluated Bogs boots against competitors and confirmed that Neotech insulation maintains waterproofing and warmth retention even after prolonged exposure to water. This is measurable and significant because most insulation systems degrade when wet, but Neotech does not. The durability profile is strong. Most Bogs boots last 2 to 3 seasons of regular use before the sole shows significant wear. At $165 Canadian for 2.5 seasons, that's approximately $0.18 Canadian per day of winter wear, which is competitive. The regional strength in Canada is notable. Bogs boots are available at major retailers across the country, with particularly strong presence in British Columbia, Alberta, and Atlantic Canada. The brand's waterproofing technology is specifically marketed for Canadian conditions, and the marketing is accurate. Professional validation comes from Canadian outdoor workers, farmers, construction workers, and forestry professionals who rely on Bogs boots for job performance. These users have zero tolerance for boot failure and consistently recommend Bogs, which has earned credibility based on real-world performance. The resale value is moderate. Used Bogs boots maintain approximately 40 to 50% of their original retail value, which reflects their durability, but also the fact that newer models often offer improved technology. The brand's commitment to waterproofing innovation means that older models become less desirable as new features are introduced. This is actually a positive indicator because it means the brand is continuously improving rather than resting on established reputation. And that's why Bogs represents genuine value for Canadian consumers in wet climates. Here's what you've just learned. The sneaker industry in Canada is designed to make you buy based on brand recognition and marketing spend, not actual value. But the brands that actually deserve your money are the ones where the engineering, the materials, the durability, and the real-world performance justify the price. New Balance invests in manufacturing. Brooks invests in biomechanical research. ASICS invests in proprietary cushioning technology. Saucony offers reliability at accessible pricing. Blundstone offers durability and repairability that extends the life of the product. Kamik offers Canadian manufacturing and proven winter performance. Bogs offers waterproofing technology engineered for Canadian conditions. These aren't the cheapest options. They're the ones where your money actually does something. The sneaker market in Canada is concentrated. 3 retailers, Sport Chek, Running Room, and independent specialty shops, control the majority of specialty footwear distribution. This concentration means pricing is relatively consistent across retailers, but it also means you have leverage. If you understand what you're actually paying for, you can make informed decisions rather than defaulting to habit. The next time you're in a shoe store, ask yourself this question. Am I buying this shoe because I've researched the engineering and decided it's worth the price, or am I buying it because I recognize the logo? The difference between those two decisions is the difference between a smart purchase and a wasted $100. If this video gave you a framework for evaluating sneaker brands in Canada, subscribe because we do this every week. We break down industries, expose the marketing, and show you where your money actually goes. Comment which one of these brands you already trusted and which one surprised you. I already know which one will start the biggest debate in the comments. Which of these sneaker brands do you actually find in your local Canadian shoe store, and which ones have you never seen in person?